Piltworth, today's weather is pretty good. The blue, gold, and white decoration and color tones move every person in Pitchin in a good mood. The roar of steam is the best alarm clock for Pitchin people, and there are people on the street. In the past, there was a magnificent tall building for all passers-by to avoid, and some people in exquisite and luxurious clothes kept coming and going in and out of the building. This is Piltoff's council chamber, but besides this, it has another identity. Piltoff Prison specializes in prisoners who are deeply guilty and awaiting trial. Lin Feng felt a bit tingling in his head, and subconsciously thought that he was a little stiff-necked. But when the blurred vision gradually became clear, Lin Feng was taken aback. What he saw in front of him was not his own familiar room. Instead, it was a completely unfamiliar environment. The metal walls, the heavy doors that you can feel, the cold and hard metal tables and chairs, and narrow beds, as well as the only small iron bar window left on the wall, all made Lin Feng have to look at the scene in front of him. The word prison is closely linked. Lin Feng remembered the rustling conversation he had just heard. I thought it was a dream talk, but now looking back on it, Lin Feng's mood has become a little heavier. Hex exploded? Theft? Prisoner? Cell? A thought that Lin Feng didn't want to believe appeared in his mind. Suddenly, Lin Feng's brain pierced again. The intermittent memory fragments flooded into my mind, and it didn't end until a few minutes later. Lin Feng, who had recovered his senses, was completely dumbfounded. He seems to have crossed to a place he didn't expect at all. Valoran continent. Piltwolf. Piltwolf is located at the southeastern corner of the Valoran continent. It is different from other federal empires. In this land, Piltwolf is above it, but there is a cave below it. Ziyuan. According to the transferred memory, Piltworth and Ziyuan are now falling into an unprecedented tension for some reason. It can even be said that war is on the verge of breaking out. But at this point of tension, an extraordinary explosion and theft occurred. Hex gem theft. You need to know that Hextech is the patent of the upper class, that is, Mrs. Piltworth. This is not the first time this explosion and theft happened. The last time it happened was when Jess had never been a member of parliament. The culprit at that time was the lower class. The actions of Jinx and Wei when they were young have once become the focus of intensification of contradictions between the upper and lower classes. Now that the case has happened again, it is difficult not to point the finger at the lower-level residents who have been coveting Hex's power again. Especially in this sensitive period, such an event is simply a fuse-like existence. Fortunately, compared to Nakas, the people of Piltworth are more rational, deeply understand the suffering of war, and understand that Hextech is not just something the lower class covets. But in order to curb the anger, I gave the injured and Pitchin's Ziyan an explanation. This time the case must be quickly arrested and closed. Fortunately, after the bombing happened a few days ago, the law enforcement officer in Pitchin directly caught the prisoner at the scene. All the stolen goods were obtained, and the prisoner even had unexploded bombs and hex gems in his hands. The criminals were also arrested without resisting. It can be said that in the past 10 years, this may be the easiest case to solve in Pitchin, and it is also the first time such a dumb criminal has appeared in Pitchin. And this criminal is Lin Feng Benfen. Memories popped up in his mind over and over again. Lin Feng's cold sweat was accompanied by goosebumps one after another. This kind of incident is often dealt with severely, not to mention that he is going to play a role as a murderer in Piltworth. Not to mention shooting, exile or life imprisonment are indispensable. As soon as others crossed, it was directly the peak of life. Lin Feng did not expect that his peak would be the opposite. Framed. Definitely framed. This is definitely not what he did. The most likely reason is that he was bad luck and happened to cross to the accident site. Since then, he has been in a coma, and this has become a scapegoat. It's not the way to go on like this. Lin Feng stood up, wanted to knock on the door and ask for help, trying to defend himself, but he didn't want to sit and wear it. But the moment Lin Feng just got up, the sting of the head came again. The pain this time was only fleeting. After a few seconds, the pain gradually dissipated, and a sound suddenly came into his mind. You have activated the unlimited reward system. The first time you use the system, you will be given a chance to draw a random lottery. Do you want to use it immediately? Who? Lin Feng was frightened by a Juling, and yelled as if he exploded his hair, only to find that there was no one in the cell. When stabilized his expression again, Lin Feng found that a translucent panel appeared in front of his eyes. Can't touch it, but he seems to be able to control it with his mind. System. Lin Feng was overjoyed in his heart. As a modern person, Lin Feng naturally couldn't know what the system was. Faced with the rewards given at the beginning, Lin Feng naturally did not refuse those who came. With a thought, a huge turntable appeared in front of Lin Feng. Lin Feng gritted his teeth. He didn't know what was in the system that could help him out of prison, so he could only pray for a stronger force, and let's talk about it if he rushed out. When the turntable actually started, Lin Feng could see the contents of the turntable clearly. 3-phase power, runic echo, perfect hex core, Mark 7 battle armor, Kryptonian bloodline, soul gems, named, unknown, from weapons and equipment to talent skills. In the turntable the reward made Lin Feng feel dazzled. It is only now that Lin Feng can be sure that he has indeed crossed, rather than the memory is chaotic. At least these Mark 7 combat armors, Kryptonian blood, time scrolls and other items are definitely not in Piltworth, and are exclusively in Lin Feng's memory. The speed of the turntable gradually slowed down, and Lin Feng's breathing gradually stopped, waiting intently for the final result. Reading www.yuyuganshu.com. The turntable stopped. You have been rewarded, the power of runes. The power of runes, master disorderly magic through ordered runes. The power contained in the power of runes has not yet detected the limit. For an instant, Lin Feng seemed to be electrocuted. Lin Feng's eyes turned blue, and countless weird and strange symbols surrounded him, and the originally dim cells suddenly became bright. Unprecedented power poured into Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng only felt hot and cold. The entry of the power of the runic energy consumed various toxic substances and excess fat in his body. A wonderful feeling was constantly circulating in Lin Feng's blood. This process lasted more than a few minutes. A few minutes later, Lin Feng's pupils gradually returned to normal, and countless runes were slowly embedded in the body, hiding their traces. When Lin Feng was looking at him, Lin Feng even couldn't believe his eyes. His sturdy muscles are sharp and angular, propping up the original large clothes, and there is no extra fat under his body. Even the old scars of his small bumps have disappeared. If you take a picture to see that this is the top star of the body, Lin Feng believes it. Lin Feng can't imagine that he has such a day. But this is just a mere appearance. What made Lin Feng even more shocked was that he now mastered the power of runic energy. With a thought, the blue rune jumped on Lin Feng's fingertips. The chaotic combination of different runes, accompanied by a powerful force that made Lin Feng feel palpitation. With this kind of power, Lin Feng even has a kind of self-confidence. Maybe he can directly escape through the prison door. Do you want to do this? Lin Feng gritted his teeth and wavered for a while. The power of talismanic energy, this reward is good, but for the current situation, it can be described as a time bomb. You know, Piltworth is one of the most anti-magic cities. The original intention of him writing her to establish the city was to stay away from that dangerous magic. And now, if he uses the power of runic energy to escape from prison, he really can't take off the hat of the violent magician. It can be said that even if he escapes at that time, the entire Piltworth will no longer have a place for him. It may even lead to wars between the upper and lower levels. Lin Feng's expression gradually darkened. To be honest, he didn't care much about fighting between the upper and lower levels, but he would definitely not accept it if he wanted him to go to jail for some reason. The problem is that after such a violent escape, the next way out is also so important. The Valoran continent is full of dangers. Compared to Nakus or Bilgewater, the stable Piltoff can be said to be a paradise for any peace lover. Not to mention that Lin Feng is still in a circle now, even if he wants to go to other places, he has no clue. No, you can't just run away like this. The rune in Lin Feng's hand gradually disappeared. Inside is not a situation where outside is not, it makes Lin Feng feel big, so he has to continue to start from the system. There is nothing more on the system panel for the time being. After the first lottery draw, now there is only one line in the panel. Maximum power of runic energy, 50. Can the upper limit be raised? Lin Feng mumbled, but these things are basically of no help to the current self. Just as Lin Feng was at a loss, something new suddenly appeared in the system panel. Task: persuade the law enforcement officer to fight for your chance of exoneration. Task reward: 10 gold coins. Task time limit: 1 hour. Punishment for mission failure: none. Lin Feng was taken aback. Persuade the marshal? Where are the law enforcement officers? Just when Lin Feng thought so, the heavy metal door was slowly pushed open. Lin Feng was taken aback by the sudden situation. He panicked and tried to find a way to retrieve the system panel, but when he saw the person coming in behind the door, Lin Feng was still dumbfounded. The jailer headed by was dressed in blue, a police uniform that Lin Feng had never seen before. After opening the door, he gave up his berth position and respectfully welcomed the people behind to enter. 2 people came in behind. 2 women. A long blue hair, wearing an exquisite blue police uniform and a high police cap, full of coldness and aristocratic temperament, like an iceberg beauty. The other has short dark pink hair, the same police uniform is mainly red, and the clothes are obviously more casual, the buttons are not full, the face has strange tattoos, and the forearms to the palms are tightly wrapped in white. The bandage, with a little scornful temperament, cannot be concealed, and it makes people want to be far away at first glance. Lin Feng recognized who the 2 people were in an instant. Caitlin and Wei. Even if the iconic Hex-Tech rifle and Hex glove were not in hand, Lin Feng recognized the 2 of them. For many years of game fans, Lin Feng would never admit his mistakes. It's just that what makes Lin Feng even more shocked is that the looks of Caitlin and Wei are even more stunning than in the game, but they have not escaped from Lin Feng's aesthetic category as a modern person. Whether it is the more glamorous Caitlin or biased the masculine Wei is all pretty good looking. But now I think these are useless. Lin Feng didn't remember until now that it was these 2 who arrested him. As the new law enforcement officer of Piltwolf, Caitlin and Wei are ahead of other law enforcement officers in terms of activity and efficiency. So a big case like the Hex bombing naturally fell on 2 people. Lin Feng was thinking just now, where would he go to find a law enforcement officer in an hour? It turned out to be like this. The system says there is no reward for mission failure, but Lin Feng himself knows that this is only at the system level. If you really fail, you can only go to jail. The only chance is this time. Seeing Lin Feng standing in front of them, Caitlin and Wei were a little surprised, but unexpectedly, this person who had been in a coma for several days suddenly woke up before the trial day. Do you have anything else to explain? Are there any accomplices? Who is the mastermind of this theft? Where are the remaining Hex gems? Honestly, it may reduce the pain. Caitlin spoke first, her voice cold. Not only Caitlin, but also Wei's attitude is extremely cold, looking at Lin Feng coldly. Lin Feng is not only a criminal who committed a serious crime, but also a major stumbling block that hinders their personal plans. After Shirko's death, the relationship between Jinx and Wei could be called a rupture. Under Caitlin's persuasion, Wei finally planned to summon the courage to find Jinx again, when another bombing occurred. At this time, Jinx almost became a thorn in the eyes of the upper class, and he could not wait for Jinx to be arrested immediately, and Wei's plan to meet Jinx was naturally vanished. Lin Feng had a bad premonition, this kind of start was too unfriendly. Wei and Caitlin, the 2 heroes, Lin Feng has played how many times, but now they are treated like this, it is inevitable that they are still a little strange in their heart. But now Lin Feng can only bite the bullet. I am not a murderer. The hex bombing has nothing to do with me. I did not steal hex gems. Everyone who came in said that. Wei snorted coldly. It seems that there is no more information to ask. Enjoy your last day. You won't have such a good life on Judgment Day tomorrow. After that, Wei is about to turn around and leave. She has long been accustomed to such situations. Staying in the cell with this vicious criminal for one more second, Wei and Caitlin both felt unwell. Etc. Lin Feng gritted his teeth immediately and couldn't control so much. He stepped forward suddenly and grabbed Wei's arm. If you really let two people go, Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com will be completely finished. Lin Feng doesn't know what Judgment Day is, but it doesn't sound like a good thing. Wei was about to break free in an instant, but Wei was surprised to find that under his full strength, Lin Feng clamped his hand but did not move. Lin Feng didn't even know that the rune power deep into the bones, even if there is no obvious rune movement, this power is not comparable to ordinary people. The guards around him immediately responded, and the Pigeon police baton with precision gear greeted Lin Feng in an instant. Hiss, Lin Feng was in pain, but the strength in his hands was not weak at all. I really am not a criminal. Wei is speechless, fight if you can't get rid of it. In an instant, Wei's other hand suddenly punched Lin Feng. Lin Feng had never seen such a sharp fist, as if he was facing a professional boxer, who could hurt people with the wind of his fist alone. The fist broke through the air and made a burst of noise. Lin Feng quickly let go of Wei, and ducked back to avoid the attack. He is here to keep two people, not to fight. After Lin Feng jumped away, the guards around him immediately came to hold Lin Feng. Lin Feng also cooperated obediently, but still said, lying on the ground, "You believe me, I really am not a criminal." Wei did not answer. Lin Feng felt a little pain in the position he had grasped, shocked in his heart, but just said coldly, "Add CX handcuffs to him, and don't let him do any activities before the trial." The guard heard the words and took out a pair of mechanical handcuffs with blue gleam from his waist. Just as he was about to copy Lin Feng, another clear and cold voice interrupted him, etc. Caitlin is talking. The scene of just now made Caitlin think a lot. Even without Hex's glove in hand, Wei's strength is not comparable to that of ordinary men, not to mention that the person in front of him had completely restrained Wei just now. Moreover, even Piltworth's latest police baton hit Lin Feng's body, and Lin Feng only suffered a bit of pain. This is Jess's newly developed police baton with a rotating tooth structure. Even if it is not fatal, most people will fall to the ground after being hit. In fact, when Lin Feng was arrested, Lin Feng always seemed to be in a coma, completely unconscious. Lin Feng immediately showed such a powerful force after waking up, which really shocked Caitlin, and even suspected Lin Feng was a Noxian. But with such a powerful force, they didn't try to escape here or take hostages. It seemed that they really wanted to tell them that they were not criminals. Such abnormal behavior aroused Caitlin's vigilance. If the person in front of you is really not a criminal, the whole incident will fall into another complicated branch, and more troubles will continue to come. But Caitlin is not afraid of trouble. Last time, because of a misunderstanding, Wei and Ike, and so many innocent people from the upper and lower classes were affected. Caitlin would never allow this to happen again. "What's your name?" Caitlin asked coldly. Although the tone was still cold, but things had turned around, Lin Feng finally breathed a sigh of relief. "My name is Lin Feng." "Lin Feng?" Caitlin frowned. "Weird name, you are not from Piltworth." Lin Feng was a little embarrassed for a while. His name is indeed a bit out of place in Pigeon. "I didn't expect this just now, I knew I would take a pseudonym." Lin Feng changed the topic. "It doesn't matter where I am from. The important thing is that I really am not a criminal." Caitlin was about to speak, but Wei interrupted the conversation between the two. "Caitlin, you don't really believe that he is not a prisoner, do you? Caitlin was stunned. Time seemed to have returned to the time when she was in the lower level. Wei took her to ask for information. She didn't believe it at first, but she turned around and talked with a young lady. When she recovered, Wei inquired. There is more news than her. For a while, Caitlin also hesitated. Lin Feng lay on the ground, the door clear in his heart. Waiting for someone to ask, it must be finished. Caitlin trusts Wei, but Wei hates him because he can't see Jinx. Must take the initiative at this time. How it ends depends on the next set of rhetoric. Even as an elite national talent, Lin Feng felt an infinite pressure, like a mountain pressing on his shoulders. I am not a criminal, I am a scientist from Piltoff. Lin Feng's words made all the people present a little startled. In Piltoff, the word scientist is full of weight, and here is also a city that respects and upholds science. Are you from Piltworth College? Caitlin asked. Piltoff College is the highest college in the city. The former dean was Heimridinger, a famous scientist. Jess and Victor also came from Piltoff College. It can be said that the scientists at Piltoff College it is the future of this city, which makes Caitlin have to pay attention to it again. I can't remember. Lin Feng hesitated, half-truth, because he really has no identity here, so he can only say this, I seem to have lost some memories and can't remember many things, but I am a scientist indeed. Lin Feng confirmed his identity as a scientist, this is also Lin Feng's temporary intention. Although he is possessed of magical power, he must not say that he is a noble magician. In Ionia or Shurima, the title of magician is quite popular, but in Pichon, anyone who dares to say that he is a magician is simply not wanting to be confused. Since the name of the magician does not work, it is better to say the one that can attract the most attention. Caitlin and Wei frowned. As Lin Feng said, there are not a few people in Pichon who have lost their memories due to certain shocks. Combined with Lin Feng's previous coma, Lin Feng's words do have a certain degree of credibility. But the intuition of being a marshal always makes Caitlin and Wei Yin a feeling. This man is so suspicious that he can no longer be suspicious. Wei also frowned. Although she hates Lin Feng, as a law enforcement officer, she can't just act on her will, and she doesn't want to wrong innocent people. She knows this feeling firsthand. Do you have any evidence? Didn't you have amnesia? Can you still remember things about science? Wei asked. Lin Feng hurriedly replied, I just lost a part of my memory. I didn't forget about science. You help me get some parts out, and I will show you live. It is better to say it well than to do it well, and it is more reliable to get started directly. The system certainly did not give Lin Feng the skills of a scientist, but Lin Feng did not need it. Because he is. Before crossing, he was the project team leader responsible for the development of robots. Lin Feng couldn't be more familiar with machinery. Made some small cars and electric motors at will, for Lin Feng, it is a small case. What he needs to do is to add some Pichon characteristics to these machines to prove his identity as a Pichon scientist. For example, the power of runes. When the power of runic energy is combined with mechanical gears, a new technology is born. Hex technology. Wei and Caitlin were stunned. The two walked out of the prison and took a step to talk, as if they were discussing something. They whispered softly, but Lin Feng was held on the ground and could not hear clearly. A few minutes later, the two came back again. Wei said, what parts do you need? If your science is not satisfactory, there will be no second chance. You understand? Lin Feng hurriedly agreed. Wei used to look, and the guard holding Lin Feng released Lin Feng. In a hurry, Lin Feng couldn't think of anything particularly precise, so he had to make something he was most familiar with. Self-driving trolley, version with manipulator. After asking Caitlin and Wei for some parts, within a few minutes, all the parts needed by Lin Feng were sent, and of course there were no dangerous parts. Fortunately, science has a strong commonality. Even in Piltov, machinery is made up of screw, nut, and gear splicing one by one. Just from the point of selecting materials, reading www.yuyuganshu.com, Lin Feng did not reveal his identity at all. Caitlin and Wei waited outside the cell. This was requested by Lin Feng. It is also Pichen's common sense that scientists don't like to be disturbed. Lin Feng's palm was sweaty. Task time, 22 minutes and 30 seconds. Quickly splicing mechanical parts. Lin Feng can't wait to have 3 heads and 6 arms. Runners, manipulators, tracks. Lin Feng made the style of the car into a tank model that Pichen people have never seen before. After all, innovation is the essence of Pichen scientists, and only a scientist who dares to innovate can do more. There is a possibility of exoneration. More than 10 minutes later, Lin Feng assembled a small mechanical tank the size of a bamboo basket. But the immovable machinery is just a model. Today's tanks have no power or even electric motors. Lin Feng needs to use the power of runic energy. Glanced back, the cell door was closed tightly, giving Lin Feng ample respect. Ensured that no one found it, a string of old runes leaped on Lin Feng's fingertips again. Lin Feng put his hand on the tank, and the beating rune slowly moved to the tank and surrounded it. An unspeakable force burst out of the tank, and as the rune gradually embedded into the tank, a blue light flashed from the inside of the tank. After waited for the rune at his fingertips to disappear completely, the rune power stored in Lin Feng's body had already bottomed out. And what is in front of you is a mini tank with a faint blue light that can breathe. Hex tank. Whether he is sitting in prison or getting 10 gold coins, Lin Feng's fate is almost closely connected with this hex tank. Mission remaining time, 6 minutes and 30 seconds. I have done. Lin Feng turned his head and said, pressing close to the door. After a while, the heavy cell door was opened again, and Caitlin and Wei saw the mini tank with a faint blue light as soon as they came in. This is... Caitlin was stunned. It was a mechanical device she had never seen before. Let me introduce it. Lin Feng straightened up. This is my own invention, hex tracked car. Hey! Just as Lin Feng's voice fell, a fierce fist wind struck, and Wei grabbed Lin Feng by the collar. You said you are not a criminal? Where did the hex gem come from? Lin Feng was taken aback, but he had expected such a problem. He must go through this step. As long as this problem is solved, everything is easy to say. This is science. Lin Feng looked solemn, and said solemnly, your previous technology used magic to produce machinery. I have developed a new technology that can use machinery to produce magic. Wei and Caitlin were stunned. How can it be possible to produce magic with machinery? Hey, what you think is how is this possible? But please don't question my understanding of science. I don't have a hex gem, you should all know this. Lin Feng is more serious than ever, as if he is really defending something sacred. Actually, where is the science of creating magic with machinery? It does not conform to the law of conservation of energy. Lin Feng just injected the power of runic energy into the machine. To be precise, this hex tank is not a traditional hex gem-driven machine in the city. On the contrary, the tank itself is an energy source, it is a machine. Hex gems with different shapes. Of course, only Lin Feng himself knew about this kind of thing. Such a statement would surely be very convincing in the hearts of Pichen people. If he doesn't believe it, he will perform it again. The power of the rune is his own. As long as there is enough time, the power of the rune can be fully supplemented. Caitlin and Wei stunned again. Just as Lin Feng said, they did not provide Lin Feng with hex gem, and when they were locked in the cell, no hex gem was carried with them. All the items on Lin Feng's body were confiscated. Pilchwater's cell is even more indestructible, further ruling out other possibilities. Could it be, machines can really create magic? Wei grabbed Lin Feng's fist and slowly loosened it. For a while, it started to get tangled. Lin Feng came to the vicinity of the hex tank, activated the switch, and demonstrated. Forward and backward, the robot grips the items, everything is so smooth and silky, even Caitlin and Wei have never seen such a special machine. This also proves that this is not a blindfold, it is practical and can benefit Pilpulf's great pioneering work. Before this, Lin Feng was also a little flustered. This is the first time Hextech fiddled with it. Whether it can be started is unknown, but luckily it succeeded. Of course, Lin Feng didn't show the tank's ability to fire. So, I am not a criminal. Lin Feng was anxious. Less than 5 minutes before the end of the mission, I can use machinery to create magic. The hex gem is useless to me. How can I steal the hex gem? Awakened the dreamer, Caitlin and Wei trembled, their eyes looking at Lin Feng were no longer as cold as before. But, how do you explain your presence at the crime scene? Wei frowned, and her instinct told her that it wasn't that simple. I was framed. Lin Feng made an expression of resentment, it should be the prisoner who fainted me first, and then brought me to the scene. I didn't wake up until today. Caitlin and Wei suddenly woke up again, and a completely different hypothesis appeared. But as Lin Feng said, everything seems to be connected in series. Caitlin's expression management is obviously not as good as Wei's. Most of the original cold color has disappeared, and replaced by a slightly embarrassing expression. She tugged Wei's arm and said to Lin Feng, "You wait here for a while." Said, the two left the cell again, and Lin Feng was left alone in the empty cell again. Lin Feng knows that this will happen in all likelihood, but he is still anxious. The mission time is less than 3 minutes. Old sisters, hurry up. Anxiously waiting, Lin Feng could only stare intently at the system panel in front of him, counting the time every second. 3 points, 2 points, 1 point. Finally, 30 seconds later, the door of the cell was pushed open again. At the same time, Lin Feng's mind suddenly heard a jingle. You have completed the task and received a reward, 10 gold coins. Lin Feng breathed a sigh of relief. There is it. But he remained silent on the surface, pretending to be anxious. After all, life is like a play, and it all depends on acting. We will prepare an opportunity for you. On the Judgment Day tomorrow, you will be reviewed by the House of Representatives. At that time, you only have to tell the truth about the situation. It was Caitlin who came in and spoke, and Wei just leaned against the cell door, holding his arms and turning his head to look to the side. Lin Feng nodded his head to express his acquiescence, and also did not say more. But it was Lin Feng's indifferent attitude that made Caitlin even more embarrassed. If the situation is true, they would be regarded as arresting the wrong person, and Lin Feng would be wronged and imprisoned. This kind of thing is never allowed in Pichon, and it is even more against the Caitlin family's admonition. Before leaving, Caitlin still said, feeling that she couldn't save her face. If we caught the wrong person, I would apologize to you on behalf of the law enforcement officer of Pi City. Wei doesn't feel anything about this, the most familiar thing in her life is misunderstanding. What happened to the misunderstanding, she didn't bother to explain, let alone apologize to Lin Feng. Caitlin. Wei leaned against the door and greeted, the two left again, the cell door was closed, and only Lin Feng was left in the small cell. Lin Feng took a long breath and lay on the cold metal bed. Past the level. If you are in the modern age, Lin Feng thinks that this set of rhetoric must be of no use at all, and modern justice is justified and well-founded. But it's different in Pichon. Most of the decisions in cases like this are made by several counselors in Pichon. If it is in modern times, Caitlin and the others may have to ask questions step by step, such as where he lives and where is the scientist? There is no one you know. As far as Pichon's judicial process is concerned, these steps are not important and can be omitted. The specific situation will not be discussed until the Judgment Day. To put it bluntly, as long as he can persuade the congressman, he can be exonerated. Although the time of a day is a bit short, it also bought Lin Feng valuable thinking time. Next, he will study what the 10 gold coins are for. Opened the system panel again, and beyond Lin Feng's expectation, more content appeared in the system this time. The most eye-catching item is the task first. Task: persuade the congressman to regain freedom on the trial day. Task reward: Ghost Cloak. Task time limit: 24 hours. Punishment for mission failure: none in 24 hours, no hurry. Lin Feng's gaze continued to move down, and there was an additional mall option on the panel. After clicked in, Lin Feng stayed. The mall is densely packed, and everything Lin Feng wants and can't think of can be exchanged with gold coins. Mainland Hotel temporary residence right, 2 gold coins / day life potion, 5 gold coins professional killer professional treatment, 10 gold coins golden heart, 20 gold coins storm sword, 50 gold coins dance of death, 3000 gold coins kryptonite, 0.5 gold coin / gram vibration, 1 gold coin / gram. Lin Feng blinked, completely unexpected that the Continental Hotel would drive to Piltworth. What kind of danger will I encounter in the future? It is absolutely safe to stay at the Continental Hotel for a few days. But the accommodation fee for 2 gold coins a day is not low. Lin Feng currently only has 10 gold coins in his hand. As for the gold, kryptonite, Lin Feng didn't even dare to look at it. 1 gram of 1 gold coin, Captain America's shield can't be more than 20 caddies? That was the start with more than 20,000 gold coins. Lin Feng did the task just now every day. The skin of her mouth was worn out, and Caitlin's ears were all cocooned. It took more than 2,000 days. But while sighing, Lin Feng was still a little excited. The mall in the system is too powerful. Once he has enough gold coins, he will definitely be able to ride on this Valoran continent. But we still have to be pragmatic now. Lin Feng selected things within 10 gold coins. Although there are many things, there are really not many that can be used now. Life potion, a bottle of hardware coins, not only is low in price, but also looks exactly the same as in the game, and has the same effect. After drinking it, it restores strength and heals some injuries. But this is not what Lin Feng said to buy. It costs 10 gold coins for 2 bottles, and the life potion is not just needed for the current situation. Lin Feng really wants to change his heart of gold. Golden heart, commonly known as turtle shell because of its appearance problems, this is an old equipment that has long been deleted in the game, and now I see these 4 words again here, and it also evokes a little memory of Lin Feng. Golden heart is a salary device in the game, and the function displayed in the system mall is similar. After purchasing the heart of gold, you can get 1 gold coin every day, and you can pay back in 20 days. But the problem is that he is still 10 gold coins short. Lin Feng sighed, and finally decided to find some props and equipment that would be conducive to tomorrow's Judgment Day, and to regain his freedom first. Picking and picking, suddenly, an item priced at exactly 10 gold coins aroused Lin Feng's interest. Early the next morning, Lin Feng woke up naturally after sleeping. This awakening is still accompanied by some pain. The metal bed is too hard. Lin Feng felt that his neck hangs without a stiff neck. After some stretching exercises, the discomfort gradually disappeared. The runic power that was consumed yesterday has also been completely replenished. The power of aura is just like a person's original strength. It does not require external intake, and can be recovered by itself. Of course, instant supplementation with some special supplements is also possible. Such as mana potion, and life potion at the same price. But what Lin Feng exchanged yesterday was not a mana potion. There was a rapid knock on the door, which shocked Lin Feng. He thought it was about to start so early, but did not expect that the window on the door was opened, and a dish was brought in from outside. It's breakfast. People are iron rice and steel. When they first arrived, no one would poison him. Naturally, Lin Feng didn't eat it right, and he just felt a little hungry. Piled Wolf's breakfast is no different from what Lin Feng had eaten before. After all, Pigeon people didn't grow up eating parts. Rice with some strange vegetables that Lin Feng doesn't recognize is a meal. After breakfast, I put the plate in front of the window on the iron door, knocked on the door, and a full-time prison guard came to collect it. This prison life allowed Lin Feng to experience it. Mission remaining time, 6 hours and 31 minutes. It's almost time. At the same time, a noisy footstep sounded from outside the door, and it was not just 2 or 3 people. There was no knock on the door this time, and the iron door of the prison was directly pushed open as if steel was cut. Lin Feng saw Caitlin and Wei headed by one glance, and 5 or 6 neatly dressed pigeon guards followed behind them. However, because of the different levels, the colors of the police uniforms were obviously different from Caitlin and Wei. Mainly black and white. Judgment Day is here, come with us. Caitlin took a step inward and said. Lin Feng nodded, and when he stood up, 2 guards held his arms and put special handcuffs on him. Hex handcuffs. Lin Feng smiled bitterly, as if Jace had never been treated like this. This is a routine procedure. Caitlin was much harder to add. Lin Feng was speechless. Anyway, he has the power of magical power in his hand, even the hex handcuffs shouldn't be able to trap him. After putting on the handcuffs, the guards who held Lin Feng's arms released Lin Feng. Fortunately, he didn't wear any shackles, otherwise Lin Feng couldn't stand it. Next, surrounded by a group of guards, Lin Feng walked out of the cell. This is the first time Lin Feng has walked out of this room. Reading www.youkanshu.com. Strong breath of leather city hits his face. Machinery, gears, hexes, blue, gold and white architectural color schemes, even in prisons, are full of scientific art and the charm of the city of leather. Walked a short distance, until the guards behind Caitlin and Wei stopped in front of an elevator. There is not even a button in the elevator, it is a direct elevator. Lin Feng is in the middle, Caitlin and Wei stand on the 2 sides, with solemn expressions. Said that it is impossible not to be nervous, and Lin Feng is also the first time to accept the trial. After waiting for the elevator to stop, Lin Feng was then led to the door of a lobby. Lin Feng has never seen such a magnificent gate, a few meters wide and high, but Caitlin and Wei only pushed it slightly, and the gate was easily opened. As soon as opened, a breath of majesty pressed down on his shoulders. The size of the lobby completely exceeded Lin Feng's imagination. On both sides of the door opening, stood the neat and majestic pigeon guards. At the more fringes where the sun can't reach, there are all kinds of pigeon residents, which is different from the modern hearing. Further forward, there are no more furniture or miscellaneous items, and some only have a round table in the shape of a gear. There are 7 people sitting at the table. Even if they look at it, they can see that the aura and temperament of these 7 people are completely different from ordinary people. Lin Feng knew that this was the highest level of pigeon. 7 congressmen. The sunlight is projected onto the table through the roof, making the whole round table more bright and sacred. Ingeniously, this kind of sunlight is refracted, and it just shines from the round table to the gate, forming a sunshine avenue. Come over. Caitlin said. Lin Feng took a step forward. Although the scene was great, he hadn't experienced it before, and his legs would not become weak. But the moment he took a step forward, the window sash on the roof of the shed began to close. The avenue of sunshine behind Lin Feng disappeared little by little with his footsteps, and the light shining on the round table began to shrink, and the whole atmosphere became serious. When Lin Feng walked to the middle of the round table, the light above his head had completely disappeared, and the entire lobby was plunged into darkness. Suddenly, a ray of light hit Lin Feng from top to bottom, like a spotlight on the stage. At this moment, Lin Feng is not the most beautiful boy. He is the worst boy. Lin Feng. You are accused of illegal robbery, theft, and crimes against the citizens of Piltworth. Do you have anything to defend yourself? A female voice came from nowhere, but it kept echoing in the empty and quiet lobby. With the help of this light, Lin Feng can truly see the faces of the 7 people at the table. There are men and women, old and young, black and white, and there is even a robot. Opposite Lin Feng frontally, is a handsome man who looks similar to his age, with a clear outline and very handsome. Jess Tallis. All eyes focused on Lin Feng. Lin Feng paused and said, "I am a scientist, not the criminal of the hex theft. The real principal culprit is someone else. I now formally raise an objection. I am innocent, and I ask for release and freedom." Lin Feng's words are sonorous and powerful, and the scale between the thorn head and the soft egg is just right, which makes people feel neither humble nor humble. Regarding some basic information, the House of Representatives has already heard some from Caitlin and Wei. They were even a little shocked when they learned that Lin Feng was a scientist. "Can you create hex deck without using magic crystals?" At the beginning of the interrogation, Jace asked. As a member of parliament and the top scientist in the city, Jess can't imagine the birth of such a technology. Is not just controlling magic with technology, but creating magic. "Yes, I can create hex deck without magic crystals." Lin Feng's answer was quite decisive. "How do you create? Do you mean to blow up an entire building?" An old man who turned like a Rubik's Cube then asked. "First of all, I declare again that I have nothing to do with this case. I discovered a new phenomenon. I call it the law of conservation of energy. As long as certain conditions are met, the forms of energy can be transformed." Jace's body trembled suddenly. The words law of conservation of energy are like a sledgehammer, knocking Jace's heart. A recent study by Jess found that whether it is mechanical movement or magical power, its essence seems to produce the same thing. In theory, since it is the same thing, it can be transformed under certain conditions. But the mystery is too profound, and he and Victor have studied it all night to no avail. Jace didn't expect that there should be such a scientist in Pitchen. "Then how do you prove it?" Approaching Jess, a dark-skinned female congressman asked. Lin Feng remembered that she seemed to be called Mel. Lin Feng's eyes became sharp. For this moment, he paid 10 gold coins to prepare. "I can prove it for you on the spot, but I require a completely closed environment. I don't want my results to be plagiarized by anyone." Lin Feng's proposal was immediately approved by the House of Representatives, and the requested materials were found for Lin Feng, which was verified by Jess himself. Unlike Jess at the time, according to Lin Feng, this may be a mature technology. Everyone wants to see this miraculous scene. Science creates magic and controls magic. Not long after, someone brought something that looked like a floor, but it was made of metal and let Lin Feng stand on it. Lin Feng didn't know why, but when he was standing on the metal floor, the four sides of the floor began to stretch. In a flash, 2 or 3 meters high metal four walls appeared, enclosing Lin Feng in the middle, and it suddenly became a private space. Lin Feng sighed that Pitchen's technology is indeed advanced, and even modern society may not be as good as Piltwof in terms of the use of machinery. Without wasting time, after confirming that the privacy was protected, Lin Feng started his plan. This is the most critical step to truly exonerate. Is different from yesterday. Yesterday was just a casual demonstration for 2 laymen. The severity of this case is definitely not a joke. None of the 7 congressmen attended, and the audience was overcrowded. A scientist who has no identity and suddenly appeared like him, in order to complete the exoneration, he must make something useful. Is not only novel, but also important to the progress of this city. In short, Lin Feng must show his particularity. Is only special enough, even if he is still suspicious, but for the overall situation of the entire Pi City, the House of Representatives must also protect him. As for what to do, Lin Feng has already thought about it. First of all, things that can't be destructive. Pitchen people are the most taboo about this. But Lin Feng still assembled the metal parts into a gun. The next step is to inject the power of runic energy. Lin Feng took off his clothes, covered the gun body and hands, and covered the blue light emitted by the leaping runes. Lin Feng felt the power of runic energy lapse a little bit. After the power of runic energy in his body completely disappeared, this gun had become a hex gun. It can be said that as long as Lin Feng presses the trigger, it will become a murder weapon. But Lin Feng didn't come to create this today. Lin Feng thought. A test tube appeared in Lin Feng's hand. At first glance, reading www.yuyuganshu.com test tube is empty, but if you look closely, you will find a little bit of blue viscous liquid remaining in the test tube. This liquid is too small, so even though it is blue, it is not even visible, maybe even one drop is not enough, barely a half drop is considered good. Lin Feng carefully opened the stopper of the test tube, for fear of any error in the test tube in his hand. This is what he exchanged for 10 gold coins yesterday. Super Soldier Serum. With the Super Soldier Serum, there is Captain America. This may be something that modern Lin Feng hasn't figured out for a lifetime of research, but now it can be exchanged as long as it is in the system. 1 gram, 20 gold coins. It is true that Lin Feng can't change a gram of it. The serum in the test tube is only half a gram. Because of the density problem, the volume is so small. A mere half gram of a dose, even half of Captain America can't make it. But Lin Feng didn't come to create a super soldier either. Even if there is only such a small amount, it is enough for ordinary people to heal their wounds and diseases. Opened the cover-up clothes, it was the pistol with a faint blue light in his hand. Lin Feng gently dripped the little super soldier serum along the muzzle into the gun body. Tick. When the power of runic energy met the super soldier serum, the nature of the energy changed in an instant. The rune jumped again, and the energy kept surging in the gun. Within a few seconds, the faint blue light emitted by the gun body turned green. The abundant energy gradually calmed down, the green light flashed and flashed, as if he could breathe, giving people a sense of peace of mind. Lin Feng's mouth curled up, and he knew that he had succeeded. Hex Technology Gun. When the surrounding metal walls faded, everyone saw Lin Feng holding a green fluorescent pistol standing in the center. Put down the weapon. In an instant, all the guards in the lobby aimed their guns at Lin Feng. Some terrified listeners even screamed. Even Caitlin and Wei, who were standing at the door, were taken aback. They didn't expect this to happen. Only the 7 congressmen in front of Lin Feng were quite comfortable, but the old man playing with Rubik's Cube toys also showed a slightly horrified expression. Quickly, grab him! The old man panicked and ordered the guards around him. Several guards rushed forward, but before they could take a step forward, Lin Feng said loudly, "This is not a weapon." The 5 big characters rang in the hollow of the lobby, and they passed into the ears of everyone in the lobby, including Jace. Hex Technology, this is the work of Jess. It can even be said that all the hex items in Pigeon today come from his laboratory. The green hex, he has never seen him himself. Wait a minute. Jace waved his hand, and the Pigeon guards who were about to flock stopped in their tracks. Although everyone was equal among the members, Jace's influence was obviously more profound. Even Mel was taken aback, looking at Jace, who was staring at Lin Feng, wondering what he was thinking. "Jace, what are you doing? Are you joking about the lives of the congressmen?" A robot congressman with a slender neck and head spoke. When speaking, the gears on his face kept turning. Jess did not reply, but still looked at Lin Feng and asked, "It's not a weapon, what is that?" "I named it, Hex Tech Gun." Lin Feng's eyes never left Jace, "He will be the hardest one on the court." Jess frowned slightly, "The Hex Tech Gun, not a weapon. He can be a weapon or not." Lin Feng made a falsehood, but instead asked, "Who has a knife can lend me use it? Just build a gun on Judgment Day, and borrow a knife." Lin Feng's courage is unique in Pigeon's history, and the shocked look in everyone's eyes is even greater. Jace was silent for a moment, but finally nodded in acquiescence. A guard closest to Lin Feng handed a knife to Lin Feng's hand, and everyone stared at Lin Feng intently. Even though Lin Feng did not express aggressiveness at present, all the guards on the scene were prepared for extra time. Even Caitlin and Wei were tense. But the first moment Lin Feng got the knife, he did not suddenly launch a terrorist attack on the parliamentarians, as many people imagined. Instead, Lin Feng took the knife neatly and made a cut in the palm of his other hand. This self-harm behavior is far beyond everyone's expectations. The blood flowed from the wound and dripped onto the ground, confirming that none of this was an illusion. The pain made Lin Feng grin inevitably, but he still controlled his facial expressions to the greatest extent. This kind of ruthless operation of scratching himself, Lin Feng has only seen it in movies, and he still can't handle it. But the more you do this, the more you have to be decisive, and hesitate to give it in vain. Next, Lin Feng slowly picked up the Hextech gun again. Also unexpectedly, Lin Feng did not aim the muzzle at anyone, but instead pointed the muzzle at himself. Pointed at the cut just now. Lin Feng pulled the trigger. For an instant, someone at the scene covered their eyes and dared not look any more. But the deafening noise did not come as expected. The timid person gradually opened his eyes, and only then discovered that a green light pumped out of the muzzle. Without the slightest sign of destructiveness, the green light wrapped Lin Feng around. After the green light faded away, everything seemed to be back. Lin Feng faced his wounds and assumed a position to shoot. Lin Feng slowly moved the muzzle away, and slowly raised the palm he had just scratched. But when everyone's eyes were focused, no one's pupils maintained their original shape. The wound on the palm disappeared. Jace choked speechlessly in shock, and stood up directly, staring at the scene in front of him dumbfounded. The Hextech gun can heal injuries. Lin Feng's words put an end to all wrong thoughts and dispelled everyone's worries. The blood remaining on the palm of his hand hasn't even dried up, but the wound has actually disappeared. Lin Feng actually still has a little panic in his heart. Adding the super soldier serum to the power of runes can achieve the primary healing effect. Lin Feng himself is not sure, just based on the color of the Hextech gun and past experience in playing games to judge whether it is successful. But he used to do experiments anyway. If he was afraid of failure, he didn't have to do this experiment at all. The entire human society had no future. At the end of the day, if the Hextech gun is really launching destructive energy, he can also recover all the power of the runic energy. After all, this is his own power. The hex items he created and the General C. The hex technology created by X-Gems is completely different. Fortunately, the plan has gone well so far. Jace slammed back again, with a solemn expression, trying to accept everything in front of him. He never imagined that the power in the magic crystal could be used in this way. While everyone was still stunned, a dark-skinned congressman without hair gave orders and took the Hextech gun in Lin Feng's hand. Yu read www.yuyuganshu.com and asked the guards to make a second judgment. The same scene appeared again, and the small wound drawn by the guard was instantly healed by the Hextech gun. Lin Feng doesn't know how many times the Hextech gun can be used. There are only part of the runic power and super soldier serum, so there must be a durability. But it's definitely enough to survive today's judgment day. Is real, not an illusion, nor a trick. In an instant, violent arguing and discussions broke out in the lobby, and even the lawmakers began to talk. Hextech can actually heal injuries, Senator Jace, is this true? Even if this kind of hex technology can heal injuries, it is an indisputable fact that he participated in the crime, and my people almost became extinct because of this. His crime has not been finally confirmed, but this hex technology is exactly what we need now. I agree with Representative Mayor, the situation with the lower levels is getting more and more tense, and we need such progress. But don't forget, he can create such hex technology, and it can also bring danger. We can't accept such a person. Enough. Jace, who was the most silent, suddenly spoke, and the two words interrupted everyone's conversation. The venue became silent again. Lin Feng. Jess was silent for a moment. Because of his background as a scientist, he couldn't wait to ask the secret of Hextech gun, but because of his status as a member of parliament, he planned to return to the original intention of Judgment Day. Since you are a scientist, why did you appear at the scene of the case inexplicably? Who are you, and why have you never heard of you in the college? Routine. Lin Feng naturally copied the rhetoric he had prepared yesterday. Compared with yesterday, this set of rhetoric is even smoother and smoother, even Lin Feng himself can't think of any flaws. One sentence of amnesia walks the world. As for identity, he used the arguments of an independent scientist to defend himself, as did Jace back then. Even though there are many doubts, the brilliance of his science has now overwhelmed the suspicion of his criminals. Not to mention that what Lin Feng said is basically reasonable, and there is also such a precedent. After Lin Feng finished his speech, the congressman began to discuss again. Some people advocate the use of such technology for the city, but there are also outsiders who oppose this suddenness. Lin Feng waited quietly for the final result, until Jess asked, "Can your technology be used in Piljawater's future?" Lin Feng answered immediately, "Please forgive me for rejecting, I cannot contribute the power of this technology." Lin Feng's answer made everyone at the scene quiet for a moment. Even some of those who had just supported the release of Lin Feng had a swaying mentality, but unexpectedly gained the favor of a wave of lawmakers who had only opposed this technology. This kind of technology is currently unable to be mass-produced, and once it is mastered by some people, it will bring great risks, and it must be fully prepared before it can be used. Dawn with reason and moved with affection. Almost every word Lin Feng said entered the hearts of the legislators. After such a poll, even most of the people present began to recognize and sympathize with this criminal. Commonly known, Lin Feng is on the road. But in Piltworth, only discussion is of no avail, and the final decision is in the hands of the 7 councillors. The opinions of the parliamentarians also have their own merits. The positions of the parliamentarians are different. It is not easy for anyone to persuade anyone. Because of this, the trial of Lin Feng requires a vote. And the number of 7 is always full of magic. Even when it comes to voting, 7 ensures that there will be no embarrassing situation of 3-3. Jace sat down again and looked around the councillors. This is an amazing feat. I also believe that Lin Feng is not a criminal, nor a lower class. If he is a lower class, Ziyuan would have hex technology just like us. So I suggest to continue to investigate the real culprit in this case and release the innocent. Jace's words are already very clear, but some of the congressmen looked unusual. Jace went on to say, but he has not completely got rid of the suspicion of the criminal. I also suggest that Lin Feng participate in the process of assisting in the capture of the real murderer as our investigation of him. At the same time, after the incident is resolved, Lin Feng will join Piltov College. Lin Feng just breathed a sigh of relief, only to have a better impression of Jace, and this time he returned to the original point. Jace's remarks seemed to exonerate him, but no one can understand the meaning. Participate in solving crimes. This is surveillance. At this point, I don't know how dangerous and troublesome it is. Lin Feng arrived for the first time, not to mention the suspicion of the upper class. He himself suspected that 99% of the hex bombing was caused by Jin Kesi. Let him catch Jinx. It might be easier to plan ahead and plan how to escape from prison. But if you just said this, Lin Feng could still understand a little bit. It was so simple that he could completely get rid of the charge. The Pigeon people were too stupid. It can also be said that he gave him a chance because of his excellent ability. But for Jess's second sentence, Lin Feng couldn't understand it from his own perspective. Piltworth Academy, this is Piltworth's core holy place. Piltworth's future hope lies. I don't know how many young talents have squeezed their heads and want to enter Piltworth Academy. But Lin Feng didn't want to. Lin Feng just wanted to eat a banana and soak in the bath. Every second is comfortable. Do tasks, keep getting stronger, and then go for a walk, eat, drink, bubble girl and so on. If this were to stay in Piltworth College, it would be almost the same as imprisonment. Lin Feng actually had some predictions about this situation. To be precise, this was a side effect of his showing that Nishan technology had eluded himself. He specifically said that his technology is not spread out. On the one hand, he is really not a technology here, nor is it productive, on the other hand, to avoid such troubles. It's a pity that, in the face of such an overall situation, this small move still can't stop Jace, even if Jace is honest enough, but his status as a member of parliament has long made his thinking different from what it used to be. Jace's move is to firmly control this hex technology in his hands. Even if he can't get it, others can't get it, that's enough. Such behavior reminded Lin Feng of a beautiful country. The beautiful country once imprisoned a scientist Qian Lao in the last century, and he is now facing the fate of Qian Lao. The only difference is that Qian Lao still has a clear goal where he is going, but Lin Feng does not. The same thing is that he, like Qian Lao, doesn't have much choice in this situation. Lin Feng took a deep breath, then spit it out. The depression in his heart was relieved a bit. Since I can't resist, I can only enjoy it. He has nowhere to go anyway. Reading www.yuyuganshu.com is not impossible to stay in the academy. Maybe he has been lingering behind, maybe Jace drove him away instead. Not to mention, this is a good opportunity to return to university. Lin Feng has full confidence in his own modern knowledge in the field of intelligence. It is definitely more than enough to teach the students of Pichon. After thinking about this, Lin Feng felt much better. Jess raised his hand immediately after saying this. If anyone agrees, please raise your hand. For an instant, a light hit Jace's body straight. Immediately afterwards, Senator Mel also raised her hand. She also had the same idea as Jess, and because of this, the two of them have come together now. Meyer moved his gaze to the old man swinging the Rubik's Cube toy. The old man was taken aback, and immediately raised his hand, and a beam of light came down. Then, after a moment of thinking, two more counselors raised their hands. A mother who seems to be Caitlin caught the wrong person, and now it is impossible for her to bite her and ruin the reputation of the family. The other is a hairless black woman whose name Lin Feng does not know. Lin Feng remembers that at the beginning she opposed Jace's cultivation of a magician, but now that she has experienced the charm of Hextech, it's hard for anyone to ignore it. Fall in love with this crystal of science and magic. 5 versus 2, the remaining two counselors, one is the one with the whole body gear structure, and the other is looking at the Leather City noble like a vampire. The eyes of Lin Feng are still full of contempt. Lin Feng tried his best to get all the information on the phone in case of emergency. The skylight was opened at this time, and the sunlight came in wantonly and shone on everyone. The number of votes was superior, and Jace's proposal was passed. Lin Feng doesn't need to wear that pair of hex handcuffs, and doesn't have to go back to the cold cell. The moment before leaving the lobby, the task of the system is automatically completed. Get reward, Ghost Cloak. The Piltoff Council has prepared a special residence for Lin Feng. At the same time, for Lin Feng's safety, a lot of guards were arranged at the residence. Since Lin Feng has temporarily eliminated the suspicion, he will participate in the entire investigation process of the entire case in the follow-up. Of course, the persons in charge of the case are still Caitlin and Wei. Such things happen, no one can say that there is a problem with the business ability of the two people. In other words, except for sleeping at night, Lin Feng must be under the accompaniment of two law enforcement officers at all times. Alias, surveillance. Lin Feng naturally wanted to stay away from these two cold beauty law enforcement officers at first. Fortunately, Caitlin's attitude is better now, but Wei is still the same, because she is in a bad mood. Lin Feng is naturally not afraid of her, but when Wei puts on the hex gloves, that's not always the case. With this punch, maybe. Sent away the two law enforcement officers, Lin Feng explored the room boredly. For him, a foreigner, everything here is so fresh. The atmosphere full of Pichon's tone came to his face. Unlike the cell, it made Lin Feng feel very comfortable here, as if he had come to a theme hotel. Lin Feng is also here, looking at the world outside the window for the first time from the window. Nice. So beautiful. An industrial city that Lin Feng has never seen before. This belongs to the era of steam machinery and Hex's magic. Is completely different from the traditional steampunk in Lin Feng's impression. Traditional steampunk, the floor is covered with chimneys emitting green smoke, the black and white precision machinery is matched with the dim sky day and night, and people wore neat suits and walked fast on the road. But the air in Pichon is better than Lin Feng can tell. The blue sky is filled with clearly visible clouds. The bright colors make the whole city more vibrant. Serious expressions are also rare on the faces of Pichon residents. The sunny smiles add to the city's icing on the cake. For an instant, Lin Feng had an impulse. Or just live here. Lin Feng shook his head quickly, extinguishing such thoughts. He still wants to see the trees in Ionia and the sea in Bilgewater. How could he be limited by this place? After had seen enough, Lin Feng sat back on the soft and comfortable bed, ready to check his rewards. Ghost Cloak. Ghost Cloak, after wearing it, it provides 25 points of magic resistance and can neutralize 50% of the toxins in contact with the cloak. The overall head of the ghost is blue, with a hood, but it is a bit like the bust worn by the girl group Hot Girls. The hem only reaches the bottom of the chest. The magic is that the whole ghost cloak presents a semi-transparent state, and you can vaguely see the scene from one end. Lin Feng can't figure out what kind of material it is, but one thing is certain, if this thing is placed in modern clothing materials, it will definitely be a big fire. 3 or 2, Lin Feng put on the ghost cloak. The moment put it on, Lin Feng thought it would feel something special, but in fact it didn't, as if he was wearing ordinary clothes. Lin Feng thought about it carefully. What danger can there be? Of course there is no toxin without feeling. As for the statement about magic resistance, Lin Feng wanted to try it with magic. But thinking about it, the desire to survive still overwhelmed the scientific mind who wanted to find out. If this is not possible, there is another explosion, then he will more or less jump into the Yellow River to be unclear, and may even break the historical record of Pichon in the second entry palace in the council chamber in one day. Lin Feng silently put away the ghost cloak, and waited to take it out when necessary, otherwise it would be a bit strange for individuals to bear this kind of thing. Next, Lin Feng continued to explore the available functions in the system, among which it might as well try to talk to the system. But unlike what Lin Feng thought, this is not a system that can be used for dialogue, no matter what method Lin Feng uses. Different from the previous passive tasks, Lin Feng has not received any more tasks since the last task was completed. But he can receive the task. A column named Task appeared in the system. After opening it, some items that can be selected are listed one by one. Task Content: Become a Piltoff Counselor. Task Reward: 3000 gold coins. Explorer's Shurima Gauntlets. Task Content: Use boxing to defeat the Leather City Law Enforcement Officer Wei. Task Reward: Flask of Fury. Fighting Gloves. Quest Content: Find Salafani hidden in Piltworth. Task Reward: 500 gold coins. Fairy Talisman. Quest Content: Raiders the Pie City Policewoman Caitlin. Task Reward: 1000 gold coins. Unlock the Skin Pool Party Caitlin. Looking at these words, Lin Feng only felt his brain buzzing. Let him be a Pichon senator, why not let him go to heaven? Every task in the system is very outrageous, and there is no time limit. Lin Feng speculated from this that this should be the so-called branch task or achievement system. Reading www.yuyuganshu.com. I can do my best, but it's okay if I can't. And the task, like the previous one, should be the mainline task. It must be done because the punishment mechanism is clearly stated on the task. Although there is no penalty for failure in these two missions, there is always such a day. Lin Feng kept flipping the pages and finally found some tasks that he could do. Task Content: Learn 1 hour of Leather City legal knowledge, repeatable daily. Task Reward: 2 gold coins. Task Content: Learn 1 hour of Hex technology knowledge, repeatable daily, task reward, 2 gold coins. Task content, practice the power of runic energy for 1 hour, repeatable daily, task reward, 2 gold coins. 2 gold coins is not a small number for Lin Feng. After all, he got 10 gold coins after all his hard work in the previous task, and this task can be repeated every day, that is, a daily task. The problem is that although there are many tasks, they seem equally simple, but they require a certain amount of time. In other words, Lin Feng couldn't finish all the tasks in one go, he had to pick it up. But even so, Lin Feng was satisfied a lot. Don't do it for nothing, just do these tasks by the way, and accumulate less. When you have enough gold coins, immediately buy a salary package, and then you can start to continue to make profits. I just don't know if he can buy a lot of salary packages in one go, so that he can get a big bargain. Thinking of this, Lin Feng stopped hesitating, turned around and knocked on the door. "Guard, I need some books here." Early the next morning, a special guard brought Lin Feng a delicious breakfast. Is still some strange-looking vegetables and meats. Although Lin Feng has never eaten them, they taste pretty good. After fighting all night yesterday, he has now accumulated a reserve of 10 gold coins. After breakfast, Lin Feng spent another 5 hours on daily tasks, and the balance of gold coins had already reached 20. Without even thinking about it, Lin Feng directly exchanged the heart of gold. Profits, money is money, the heart of gold can be paid back in only 20 days. And Lin Feng's actions have also won the trust of more people. Such a study day and night turned upside down, what else can it be if it is not a scientist? Waited until the afternoon when Lin Feng's door knocked on the door again. Opened the door, Caitlin and Wei stood in front of the door. "Mr. Lin Feng, how did you rest last night?" In order to avoid embarrassment, I got to know such a great pigeon scientist. Caitlin rarely did this to Lin Feng. Finally entered without breaking the door. Lin Feng invited Caitlin into the house with Wei, who didn't say a word. After all, the two of them are still his guardians. Seeing the books full of books on the table, both Caitlin and Wei were slightly shocked. "It's okay," Lin Feng answered casually, and the three of them said after they took their seats, "Is there something going on? Why don't you tell me straightforwardly?" Caitlin was taken aback for a moment, but she was silent for a few seconds before speaking. "We are going to continue investigating this case, please leave with us when you are ready." Lin Feng stayed for a while. So fast? But when he came back to his senses, Lin Feng picked up the cup, prepared to drink, and asked for details. "By the way, where shall we investigate?" "Ziyuan." Wei answered this time. Puff. Lin Feng couldn't hold a cup of water, choked himself, and almost sprayed Caitlin and Wei. Ziyuan. Yes, we all suspect that this case is related to the lower level. Caitlin replied. "Nonsense, I still use you to say." Lin Feng feels like crying without tears. Compared with Piltworth, Ziyuan is really a mixed bag. Before he had enough strength, Lin Feng didn't want to go back to Ziyuan for an expedition so early. But according to the current situation, it seems that he does not have the right to choose. Since he is not a prisoner, the cracking of the case immediately became a matter of burning eyebrows, and he must come up with an explanation as soon as possible. Lin Feng sighed, he could only accept this reality and asked about the specific procedures one by one. "I don't know if I ask, I was shocked when I asked, there were only 2 people going to Ziyuan this time. He and Caitlin." Considering Wei's relationship with the lower level, Wei is mainly responsible for finding clues in Piltworth this time. It is not the first time that Caitlin has gone to the lower level, and even has a certain interpersonal relationship in the lower level, which is a perfect candidate for the case. The reason for the lack of fanfare, Lin Feng guessed it, and now the relationship between the upper and lower levels is so tense, sending too many people down will only cause unnecessary misunderstanding and trouble. If it weren't for the situation to remind Lin Feng really thought it was a sweet date for 2. It's just that this dating place is not very nice. Fortunately Wei did not go with them, otherwise Lin Feng always felt that he would be targeted everywhere. The monk couldn't hide from the temple, Lin Feng didn't want to escape, so Caitlin and Wei gave them 2 hours of preparation time to set off. Packed all the books that were coming, Lin Feng asked for another backpack with some parts that might be needed. 2 hours later, Lin Feng was ready to carry the big bag. Caitlin had been waiting at the door for a long time. Walking out of the building, Lin Feng came to Piltworth for the first time. The self-familiar attributes were vividly displayed on Lin Feng. The one on the left beckoned, and the one on the right was good afternoon, which made the passers-by on the street stunned for a moment. Lin Feng is not afraid of society, but not a cow, but that was before crossing, and now coming to another world is like playing a game. Interacting with these people in other worlds makes Lin Feng feel fresh. But the more kind Lin Feng behaves, the more Caitlin feels guilty. Such a good scientist lost part of her memory because of an explosion, and she even wronged others. Lin Feng, can't you remember where you lived before? Yet. Lin Feng smiled brightly at a passerby again, and said casually, I can't remember it anymore. A passerby with the same cheerful personality also waved to Lin Feng in response, and by the way, he sent Caitlin her afternoon blessing. Caitlin made a slightly stiff smile, and similarly learned from Lin Feng and beckoned. Lin Feng's friendly behavior and indifference to herself inspired more self-blame in Caitlin's heart. Her relationship with Lin Feng didn't matter, it was mainly for Pichon. It is possible that because of his previous actions, Pichon has lost an outstanding scientist, which cannot be made up by cultivating more than a dozen law enforcement officers. On the way to the lower passage, the two talked very little, but Caitlin asked a few scattered questions, and Lin Feng just answered them accordingly. It's not that Lin Feng doesn't want to talk to Caitlin. Reading www.yuyuganshu.com will lose more words. This is the truth that adults should understand. In case something goes wrong, I am afraid that Caitlin will take it for him as soon as possible. Within half an hour, Lin Feng came to the passageway to the lower level, which looked like a tunnel, directly leading to Ziyuan, which was the official entrance. The number of guards patrolling and stationing on both sides of the tunnel far exceeds Lin Feng's imagination. In modern times, there are few more platoons here, and people who don't understand the situation may even think that this is going to be a battle. And unlike the guards that Lin Feng had seen before, the guards here are all wearing gas masks, like biochemical soldiers, fully armed. Seeing the law enforcement officer coming, the guards immediately saluted. After checking the relevant approval documents, the guards removed the roadblocks, cleared the passage for the two of them, and put on 2 gas masks by the way. Caitlin shook her head. I don't need it anymore. Caitlin has been to Ziyuan a long time ago, and is quite acceptable to the air quality inside. Lin Feng thought for a moment, and also shook his head and refused. He felt that this thing was that the dragon was wearing a helmet and pretending to be noble. After entering, he carried it with a boring panic, so he didn't need it. Caitlin was taken aback for a moment, and when she opened her mouth to persuade her, remembering the poor relationship between the two now, she swallowed the words again. Lin Feng swaggered towards the tunnel. There is a small downhill in the tunnel, about 20 minutes away, the tunnel has come to an end. At the other end is a thick gate, also guarded by some guards. After checking the approval documents for the second time, the guards joined forces and opened the heavy door for the two of them. The scene of Ziyuan also entered Lin Feng's eyes for the first time.